Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the discussion today about some of the opportunities that we're seeing develop in the online streaming space. These opportunities have been building for some time, but they're really being accelerated by the current response to the coronavirus. So this is the lockdowns and the various stay at and work from home campaigns. Before I get any further though, I just want to thank the organizers. I know Michael Healy is the one I've been in touch with, but certainly there are other people, the team that's been organizing the conference. Thank you all for organizing this event. This is a fantastic way for everyone around the world to come together and share what they've been thinking about and working on for the last few weeks or months. And the fact that we have the technology to link everyone together like this is amazing. But as I guess will be shortly revealed over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, the technology could do so much more and could be better still. So my name's Peter Wielgosz. I'm a lawyer by training and had worked at what is referred to as a magic circle firm for most of my career before setting off on a path of entrepreneurship around 6 years ago, but recently found me as CEO of an early stage deep tech European startup that has captured my attention and imagination for the last year. And we've been working together to build a key component of the infrastructure that will undoubtedly be required for the new normal, and whatever that may be. So it's hard to predict the future with any certainty. Yeah, so that's an obvious statement. And with the world in turmoil, it's anyone's guess where we're going and what the world will look like when all the travel and movement restrictions are eventually lifted. However, there are a few patterns that are starting to emerge. In some cases, they are in fact accelerating existing trends. In others, these are new behavioral patterns that are likely to remain even after quarantine restrictions are lifted. So one interesting observation is that weekend road traffic is down. Obviously, this applies to those cities where we still have quarantine restrictions, but it's particularly interesting in those cities that have lifted or have relaxed quarantine restrictions. Now, you can go to the TomTom website, you know, the manufacturer of GPS devices. So on their site, you can punch in any city and see the road traffic for the last week. Peak hours, congestion information, all of that. It shows a comparison between the same dates in the prior year, that kind of thing. So I live in Dubai, and last week the city relaxed a lot of the quarantine restrictions. So residents were no longer required to apply for a permit to leave their home, and permits until this point were only granted once every 3 days. That was a real lockdown. So here, shops, restaurants were allowed to reopen. Things were supposed to return to normal, right? But they didn't. So weekend traffic numbers, as you can see on the TomTom website, were down despite people being allowed to roam more freely. So everyone still opted to stay at home. You can check this out for your own city, whether it's Beijing or Singapore or wherever you are. Weekday traffic is up. People are still commuting to work for essential traffic, though not to the same level as before. But weekend traffic is down. So could the new normal be that we spend less time outside? Or is it less time in cars? Or that we're just not spending as much on entertainment outside the house? So a quick look at restaurants and cinema numbers shows that this could be the case. But we all still need to be entertained somehow. So this trend is likely to change how we are entertained. So here's another trend for you. Working from home, and actually studying from home as well. Basically, any kind of increased productivity from home. Okay, this is probably not going away. I think everyone's kind of settled into this being the new comfortable. Now that employers have figured out that people can still be productive sitting on their couches in PJs, I just don't see the mad rush to get the offices fired up again to the same level as before. I mean, sure, we'll always have offices, but they're likely to be reorganized as physical meeting places. You don't need your whole team actually in the office, and you can downsize your square footage and save on your office rent. You can even move the office further out into suburbs and save on real estate. The point is, working from home saves employers a bundle. So I expect to see this trend to continue after the lockdown. And same goes for education, right? So schools and universities can reach a wider audience at a lower cost. And quarantine has produced some really innovative societal changes. So on top of the ones already mentioned, you've got a new concept called cloud clubbing. So this is essentially DJs finding themselves without a physical club to play in, are taken to holding these live events virtually. And this is really catching on, surprisingly. You can create an avatar or live stream for your own living room, or there are lots of other ways for people to connect and listen to live music without the hassle of standing either too close to the subwoofer or getting groped on your way to the bathroom. And recently, Fortnite held an event organized around Travis Scott's live performance. Over 12 million people attended. I mean, you can't find an arena on the planet large enough to house that many people physically. So this virtual venue is a great place for music stars to get their names out and reach a wider audience. So I expect to see more artists exploring this space. Other ideas include home fitness programs with gyms and physical trainers offering virtual live stream workouts. Telemedicine is taking off. Gaming is growing incredibly during the last few months, with year-on-year growth in mainland China alone increasing by 30%. The pandemic has also reinforced consumers' increasing preference to shop online. And increasingly, they're opting to do this via live stream shopping or shop streaming, which is a combination of e-commerce and live streaming. Innovative stuff, really. I mean, surprisingly, seeing a lot of great success, particularly in the grocery space. So online shopping is recovering at the expense of discretionary consumer items, such as long distance travel and holiday. That's kind of obvious, I guess. And now that courier services have recovered and people are making deliveries again, I expect this trend to continue. Obviously, there are also conferences like this one that we're all attending, which is a great way to bring people together and to share thoughts without the hassle of booking hotel rooms and eating airline food trying to get to the conference in the first place. However, all of these trends have one thing in common. They rely heavily on streaming video across the internet. So that's where we're spending most of our time. And it seems we're all hooked on the internet. And so COVID-19 has pushed up internet use by 70%. That's a significant increase. So much so that a lot of the content providers and streamers in Europe have been forced to stream at lower qualities because the demand for bandwidth has increased so much during quarantine. So can you imagine? We have the technology to view super HD quality videos over the internet, but we can't all do it at the same time. So imagine what's going to happen as populations continue to grow and this trend continues to grow. I mean, this is only going to get worse. You know, Alfonso Morona, who's the head of media strategic advisor at KPMG, identifies this problem as being particularly acute in relation to 4K quality videos. This is a very high quality video stream. Imagine the migraine live streamers are going to have when we all move and expect, 8K video or higher. This technology is getting us there. Sounds crazy, but the Japanese Olympics that were postponed this year until 2021, they were all going to be live streamed at 8K. Actually, Japan has the highest number of 8K ready TVs, so the tech is certainly there to capture that kind of quality stream and to render it. But is the tech there to actually deliver the content over the internet without shutting it down? So what if increasingly more and more sports broadcasters move towards 8K streaming of live sports? What's going to happen to the internet then? So, okay, so you may be thinking, all right, this is all wonderful. All of these are ways for us to connect new industries, new businesses. It's all very bullish for the new economy that's undoubtedly going to emerge at the end of this quarantine. Lots of new things to work on and reorient societal focus around. However, there's another thought process that's coming out of this lockdown as well, and that is our deeper appreciation for nature. I mean, we may have all seen that meme circulating with the dolphins back in the canals in Venice, and you can now see the bottom of many urban waterways, lakes, rivers, oceans. They're all teeming with new life as boat traffic is down, noise and other pollutions are being suppressed. So when the quarantine's lifted and we can all run around outside and marvel at this natural beauty, I actually think we're going to want to do more to protect it. I really do hope that we do come to this conclusion as a global society. Unfortunately, streaming online video is very damaging to the environment. So in February last year, Cisco published a document outlining its research into global internet traffic trends, in which it predicted that internet video traffic will constitute 82% of all online traffic. That's both business and consumer by 2022. Okay, so 82% is going to be video. So we've just discussed how important online videos are, all those ideas that we had mentioned, cloud clubbing, grocery shopping, etc., to the average internet user. So it should not be surprising that the number is going to be so high. However, it's starting to become clear how much of a burden this increased traffic is becoming on current data infrastructures. And to add to the problem, existing solutions are severely antiquated, both in terms of hardware and software. This means that inefficiencies from processing, compressing, transmitting, decompressing multimedia data results in significant energy demand. And for it to take climate change seriously, we really need to look at addressing the contribution of data centers globally to the problems associated with global warming. Okay, so here's an interesting stat for you that's up on the screen. The music video Despacito, I'm sure we've all heard it, set an internet record back in 2018 when it came to the first video to hit 5 billion views on YouTube. I think right now it's around 6.5 or 7 billion views. But in the process of reaching that milestone, it burned as much energy as 40,000 US homes use in a year. And that's the environmental impact for just a 5-minute YouTube clip. According to the recent study by Huawei, data centers currently consume about 2% of electricity worldwide. This number is expected to rise anywhere between 8% and 21% by 2030. These trends may actually be accelerated as a result of the current lockdown and the acceleration of these new emerging trends. This is more than the energy consumption of many nations and puts the carbon footprint of data centers globally on par with emissions generated by the global aviation industry. Okay, so video streaming is only part of all data center usage, sure, but it's clear that's also becoming the predominant form of data transfer globally, and it may one day become the leading cause of carbon emissions on the planet. So obviously, given this backdrop, we expect that there will be many companies racing to find solutions for the problem. And they range from developing faster hardware to running data centers on clean or renewable energy sources. However, these solutions are band-aid solutions because they do little to address the core of the problem itself, which is the inefficiency of the compression and decompression mechanics referred to in the industry as CODECs that are used by streaming video people in the industry. The majority of the industry uses codecs that are based on code-heavy software, which means that data center servers require great computational power, and of course this means greater energy consumption. So David Ronca, who is the director of video encoding at Facebook and was formerly with Netflix, makes the observation that new codec technology is impressive, but each new codec developed comes with a significant increase in computational complexity. And he recommends that greater focus on reducing code complexity should be the focus of future research in this tech space. So this is the realization by a guy who's working at a very senior level at Facebook, one of the world's largest distributors of online video streaming content. He thinks that something really needs to be done about codecs and their complexity. It highlights a trilemma actually faced by the next generation of codec solutions. Is it possible for a codec to compress high quality images or video feeds without loss of quality, and to do so in a way that doesn't require too many computer resources? In other words, power. Well, why is this important? Okay, so consider for an instance that for a 1-hour episode of your favorite TV show recorded in the highest possible quality, let's assume that's just 4K, it can take up to 60 hours to run the required compression calculations, where the aim is to preserve that image quality. Now, you see how a short little video like Despacito can be so environmentally damaging. 60 hours of number crunching for 1-hour 4K video. But that's a lot of power consumption. Okay, so what exactly is a codec? I've been talking about these things, but I'll just briefly explain it here. and I'll explain how they can be so inefficient. It's a highly complex subject, and I realize that I'm competing with all of the other offerings on the internet, so that's pretty stiff competition. But anyway, I've written a few articles that explain codec technology in more detail, and at the end of this presentation, there's a QR code for those of you who want to go on and read those articles in your free time. You can just scan that and link to those articles. But very briefly, and I'm going to need to get a little bit geeky here for a second. So video files in their original format are extremely large. So before a video is transmitted across the internet, it needs to be converted from one format or code into another. This process is called encoding, and it's repeated in reverse or decoded by whoever it is at the other end who then wants to watch the video on their TV or laptop or mobile device or whatever it is. So the technology that makes this happen is called a codec. And there are many different codecs out there. Different platforms use different standards, but their success or effectiveness is effectively based on three main features: quality, compression, and complexity. So these are pretty obvious, right? So quality, self-explanatory. This is the clarity of the video feed effectively. Compression is basically how small the file size gets after you run that encoding process. And complexity is essentially how long it takes you to run the code to run that operation. So the relationship between these is mostly a zero-sum game. The greater the quality of the final video that you want to get, well, you're likely to have to sacrifice either the file size or the time it takes to run the compression algorithm. On the other hand, if you want a smaller file size, it may not get the best quality. Or it may take you 60 hours of number crunching if you really want to have high quality and small file size. Okay, you get the idea, right? So this tech has only been around for about 50 years, I guess. It was invented in the mid-late 70s. And though it seems like there's been a lot of innovation in this space, really most of the codecs are all based on the same underlying mathematical principles. And that's where the problem lies. So the type of mathematics that have been used to date are called DCT or DWT. And you can look this up in the article I get into. But effectively, they use discrete sampling to approximate reality. So if you want greater quality, you need to increase the sampling rate. And this obviously adds more lines of code. And it only gets worse as our hunger for greater quality video feeds increases, right? So it's a bit of a pickle. The last 50 years have resulted in codecs becoming more complex to ensure better quality and smaller file size. All of this is pinned on the hope of advances in semiconductors running the necessary calculations a lot faster. But Moore's law is starting to hit against the ceiling, right? And we're starting to realize that faster computing also means more power demand, and that translates to additional costs. So a breakthrough is likely going to require the application of new mathematical principles, a solution that the industry has been unable to develop convincingly, or perhaps no one's been looking into this space. Fortunately, at Polar, we've had a great team of PhD mathematicians and code developers, and we've been working on developing a model for encoding and decoding multimedia data through the use of a different kind of mathematical approach than the one used in the last 50 years. Something called fuzzy logic, and is at a very high level an approach based on varying degrees of truth, rather than the classical Boolean logic that is currently applied in modern computing. That's the classical true-false binary truth model. Here there are shades of truth in fuzzy logic. So predictably, because it's such a different approach, the results are in a class of their own. For the same number of computational tasks, Polar's codec would require fewer hardware resources due to its superior computational speed, and this in turn directly influences data center savings. Okay. But it's not just about the software based on these new mathematics. At Polar, we believe that the hardware should equally play a key role in any tech solution. Too often, excellent software is run on generic hardware. So any improvements in efficiency you get through new software, then compromised by using inferior equipment. So our team of engineers has extensive experience programming a type of computer chip known as an FPGA. It's a very flexible piece of hardware that can be extremely power efficient and adaptable to the kinds of operations that are required in something like live video streaming. So by combining the in-house expertise of our codec development team and our hardware engineers, Polar is developing a data center-ready transcoding device built on proprietary hardware that uses cutting-edge FPGA technology to deploy a novel codec solution. There you go. That's our one-line zinger. The powerful new energy-efficient codec plus energy-efficient high-performance hardware, and you have tremendous savings on your data center energy bill. These benefits naturally spill over to the consumer. I mean, content providers can either pass on their data center savings to consumers in the form of lower subscription fees, or use the savings to invest in better quality content. No more, jumping the shark for those failing Hollywood TV productions. They'll now have a budget. They can go out and buy, something that viewers will enjoy, or create something new. Coupled with these benefits is the fact that video content is increasingly being viewed on mobile devices. So now these advantages mean that fewer battery resources can be consumed per video. So mobile devices can therefore last longer between charges. And that not only reduces the individual's energy bill, but also in the aggregate contributes to a reduction in energy consumption by society as a whole. So long-term, the advantages of a new, more efficient codec have wide-ranging applications. So layer in artificial intelligence, and suddenly your face recognition AI-driven applications are much more efficient. Lower the latency on transmission times of high-quality video feeds, and your drones are now that much more useful and responsive. Not to mention applications in VR, AR, gaming, telemedicine, remote surgery, and of course, cloud clubbing. So most of the future may indeed be uncertain. We can say with a lot of confidence that the online world will continue to thrive, regardless of what happens next. But whatever that future will be, and whenever that may come, the new reality will require greater use of the resources of the entire internet infrastructure. In our view, this is only possible with the new codec technology, and that's something we've been working on during this quarantine. Okay, so conscious I'm coming up to the end of my allotted time, 30-minute time frame. So I'll just leave this slide up here for a bit. It's got the links to various articles that I mentioned on the right-hand side. Those are QR codes. You can just scan them with your phone. I'll link to the articles if you want to have a read and really geek out today, go for it. We'll also have some contact details here in case you want to carry the conversation forward with me offline, so to speak. Please get in touch. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the presentation and our solution, and then how you feel we could work together and build the future of the new normal. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for your time. I'm happy to open it up to questions if anyone's got any.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Peter, how you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through.
Oh, yeah. So it's me, Harry. Remember we've been talking online and everything, I think, on WhatsApp,
yeah.
Remember? Yeah, it's been a great presentation. I really appreciate. First of all, I really like the whole idea about it, the codec information, and mostly the power consumptions and everything. It's really a kind of more intriguing kind of stuff, which really making a lot of impact in everyday's life, like a video streaming, a YouTube, and Netflix and Amazon Prime, Hotstar. Like a lot of people, they really wanted this streaming platforms to be much better, as a conception, and as a more of like a speed of internet, and consuming a lot of power and everything. But a lot of people, they really don't have any clue about it, like how exactly this power energy is making a lot of difference in between streaming a video, uploading a video, and watching it online. The education is really missing over there, the common people education. technical.
No, I agree. And even for us in the team, when we were doing the research, I was surprised to find out the burn rate for a 5-minute clip like Despacito. So
Exactly,
there's a lot of education there. Yeah.
Actually, like in every YouTube video, actually in every video, if you watch it, like there is a codec is there. There is a embedded codec codings are there which you can copy and you can paste it and you can use it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's online, is available, but nobody ever tried to understand what exactly it is, right? As you know what exactly it is, and I know because we are from like a more of computer generated technology society. But a lot of people, those who are just buying a cell phone or buying a laptop and buying it like smart TV, and they're just plugging in and just watching. They don't have any clue how this environmentally impacting their real life, So I think we need to make a little people educate about it, like make them understand, to have a nice seminar where make people understand what you're watching. You should be you should be following the protocols, like the power consumption, the energy, the per MB, per gigabyte, per data, per TV, whatever you're spending, You getting my point?
Absolutely. Yeah, these are great numbers. I mean, we're really looking at a solution that touches both the end user, but really where the savings are at the back end. A lot of content, when it gets created, it doesn't stream anymore directly from Netflix. Netflix enters into a contract with a content distribution network. And it's got different relationships in different parts of the world, and it may have various relationships. So it's not just one company. It could ping through a number of different senders, where that content is then stored and downloaded by viewers. And that is where the energy issue comes up, and that's where our solution would sit, is in the data centers themselves. So it's sort of something in the background in terms of, we're not B2C as a company. We're B2B. We're targeting data centers and content distribution networks. But the effects of what we're producing are pretty much felt by everyone. And certainly in this environment, we're all sitting at home looking at our computer screen. A lot more people are coming to realize that we're really dependent on video. We like videos.
Yeah, like mostly I do understand, like everybody, every single person, every single human being right now is stick to on the screen. Like they don't have any like regular activities to express or to talk about, to show or something like that. For example, a lot of music artists, a lot of celebrities, a lot of musicians, they've been stuck inside a house. They don't even know what am I supposed to do. How do I generate a revenue for myself, and how do I produce my video so I do get money, and apart from that I do stream my content? Because technically right now Instagram started a donating tab button on a live video. So you go live and Instagram will put a tab button over there, add on. Once you go live, you have to tap that button and you start paying your money. But technically, like definitely YouTube is not, or Instagram is not telling you what kind of revenue he's generating, right? And at the same time, the people, those who are really kind of donating the money, who knows, it's not going half of the money or full money to the COVID kind of donations. Might be the money is getting divided between artists, between sponsors, or between advertisement people, or might be a channel, those who are uploading, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. So a lot of the tech companies are coming out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So in that technical flaws and technical pros and cons, I feel like there's a hidden line where a customer don't understand, or how much money I have to spend it, or how much the data I've been consuming, or how much energy I've been losing it. For example, on a TikTok, like 2 days ago, I was reading an article. A TikTok is downloaded 2 billion of TikTok downloaded in like, past month. So just imagine 2 billion people are spending a 5 MB of data, or might be a 1 GB of data. Each MB of data consuming, or for example, take it a $1, $2, 50 cent, or 3 cent, or 4 cent. Just think how this money is multiplying. Like every single person downloading TikTok for free, but paying a lot of huge amount of money to the company. They don't even know about it.
Sure.
Right? So they think.
In this environment, you've had Facebook and a lot of the other tech companies coming out recently with their earnings reports. A lot of them are actually saying that advertising revenues are down, and that's because people aren't spending as much. They like looking at things, but they're not spending as much. So
they don't have money.
Costs?
They don't
how do you
have
defray the cost
spend.
of actually providing the high quality video content? So, this is all part of the solution, and we see these trends continuing. But Harry, I'm happy to continue this conversation offline, but it looks like we're probably eating into the time of the next time slot. If anybody has any other questions, please get in touch. My email, telephone number, or our website's there, and have a read of those articles as well. And thanks a lot, everyone, for your time. And Harry, let's continue this discussion.
I appreciate that, Peter. I'll get back to you on the personal